G'day everyone, welcome back to another video. Now today is going to be a bit of a sad news for me. I think the transmission has let go. I was driving home the other day. I think I was like driving 40 minutes to essentially do some work, and on the way home, as I got into the driveway, it started making a clunking noise. And now it's just clunking and pretty much it's just carrying on. I'm thinking it's the transmission. I don't know what it is yet, but you know, thought I'd make a video on how to remove the transmission in these things. So they are 5-speed O2J, so that's quite famous. And yeah, we're gonna start by I've loosened the nuts already in the wheels. I'll need to get both wheels off, but before I do, I'll jack up the car, put on some jack stands, and I'll just cut to it so that you don't you're not waiting around for it. Yeah, I'm not particularly happy about this, but it is what it is. You know, shit happens. I think I was sending it a fair few times on first gear, and it had admittedly some high boost running through it, so I think that coupled with pulls, and I did really send it, I gave it to it. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get the car jacked up, and then we want to make some space here. All this has to go. I'll see if I can just leave this hanging around. I'm gonna have to disconnect all the transmission stuff, the starter motor, all that stuff. Gonna have to get the jack underneath it to hold the engine up, and then start taking the transmission bolts out. So drive shafts have got to be disconnected as well. I'm just wondering if I should just remove the drive shaft on this side to make it easier. Don't know. Right, so wheels are off. Plastics are off. So now I'm gonna start taking all of the stuff that's in the way. I'm going to get this catch can out the way. Just start taking off as much as I can. I'll take the airbox off, unplug this and stuff. And just, if anyone that doesn't know, the plug actually, you can just press it in to remove. I didn't know that at the start when I was still a freshie. I was taking out the clips completely off just to make sure that I could unplug things. So if you don't know that, that's a good little tip. Oh, that's a bit loose. But yeah, I'm gonna start taking it all off around here. Maybe start getting the starter off, perhaps. I'll have to unplug the battery. It's probably a good thing. Right, I got the airbox off. There's one nut there, another nut somewhere down there. There it is, there, and then it all comes out. So I'm going to take the battery off now. I'm going to have to undo the light cover. Right, now underneath the battery is, along with all the white shit that's there, the cover. I'll take this off for better viewing. But there's 4 10mm nuts in that cover, one by one. Right, so let's yeah, go ahead and remove all this crap. So we'll take that off, bin that. But yeah, you just want to make room here, because the transmission, to get to all these bolts, you're going to have to get some room. So let's get the starter off. I'm going to unplug it. I think I'm going to unplug it here first. Oh, unplug it here. That's off. And now I think one of the starter bolts down below. Oh no, that's not good. That's for the starter. Starter is pretty much out. There you go. I'll lower it to the ground in a sec, but there's two massive bolts. They each look like this, and on just to mess with you, there's two bolts on top of it. These are for the brackets, like stuff, harnesses and stuff are bolted onto the starter. So you've got to remove some of these nuts first to get to the big 18mm. So it's not overly hard, but let's yeah, let's have a look and see if we can get it underneath. So drop it there. That's one. Oh. Get that bolt. Might get another clean, I think. There you go. Perhaps to the side here. Pop the airbox. Oop. Yeah, that's the starter out of the way, and that's two bolts that I need to remove anyway from the so the shifter cables and brackets need to come off. They look like 13s. Let's see what they are. So there's one here. Yep. There's also one here. Yep. And there's also I think I have to remove the slave cylinder. Yep. Right. So I'm going to get the shifter linkages off. I'm going to get the bracket off for any of these brackets off. You know, transmission bracket to the, is that also 13? That's cool, that's cool. Yeah, so I might be able to take this off too, don't I? Yeah, so crunching all through different gears. Gearbox has had it, so let's yeah, remove all of this stuff now. Alright, so I've got the two shifter linkage mounting bolts off, so it's no longer bolted to the transmission like that. I've got the bracket off, but it's missing a bolt, so I only needed to remove that one. That bottom one down there is far too hard to get in, and it needs a retaining nut. So I dare say that when they did the clutch replacement, yeah, they probably forgot to put it back. So now the next thing to do is get the clutch slave cylinder, get the clutch slave cylinder off. That's also 13. I've got a mixture of small 13 with a big one. If I need to, I'm going to have to get into some tight spots in there, so probably now when I get the slave cylinder off, don't touch the clutch. You're gonna blow it up. The gasket, the rubber inside, is going to explode. It will just explode everywhere. So do not touch the clutch. Got to put on. So I think that's all clear now. Alright, so I'm underneath the car now. I am removing the drive shafts. So I'm doing this underneath the car because I'm using my spline set. And it's in tight, so I need to breaker bar it off. And then I'm going to buzz it off. So from here, some dust on it. When I get to the drive shafts, bolts like that. Why can't I get it in now? Anyway, but yeah, I get it in from this angle outside, underneath the car like that. So that just gives me access from underneath to buzz it out. So that's stop the drive shafts from spinning around. Just pop a screwdriver in the caliper where there's any ventilation within the disc, and that should allow you to do it without moving the drive shafts. Alright, back again. I haven't actually had any time to do any more to the Golf, so I still got to do this drive shaft to take it off. Been stuck doing other work, but I had some time to go to Mike's house to get that spare transmission. Just pressure washed it, in fact, and it's yeah, looking okay. So gonna go get onto the brake cleaner, and then it should be yeah, good to go. So that's what's going to go in to there. That's going to be a bit of a tough task. It's quite heavy, so I'm going to rely on some jack stands, some jacks actually, to put it up, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Alright, so I'm back under the car. I'm going to do the other side, what do you call it, drive shafts. So I'm going to get underneath the car, get my what's it call it, the screwdriver, put it there, and so I can get some room up here with my my tool so it doesn't spin. So I'm going to get all this off with a spline tool. I think it's I don't think I explained it before, but I think it's an M10. Yep, it's an M10, and this will do all the work for you. So let's get this off, shall we? Alright, so that was easier than I expected. Got all 6 triple square bolts off, and don't use Allen on these, you'll strip it out. Use the right tool. So now that's free. Move that out of the way. I'm going to need to undo the bottom transmission bolts, which I already started. These are all, I'm going to say 16s. And there's one exception at the back there. That's an 18. That one there, secret one. I'm going to buzz these all off because I know all the bottom ones are the same size. I think there's 7 all up, so there's about 4 at the bottom, and another 3 to 4, 7 to 8 bolts all up. I'll let you guys know how that all goes, but I'll undo all the bottom ones first, and then I'll undo the dog bone mount, and then the only thing holding up the top should be just the transmission mount. So I'm going to need to support the engine after I remove the engine support. So yeah, that'll be, and that's my 3-inch exhaust. Just while I'm getting this bolt out, so I just talk some stuff. But it's 3-inch. It's got a cat just there, and then it's got I'm going to say a muffler into another muffler, into another muffler. So into a resonator, into another resonator, into another resonator. And then it goes out to the rear sports muffler. So I did that because I absolutely hate drone. Absolutely hate it. So these are the 4 bottom ones. Absolutely hate drones, so I'm not going to take any of that shit. And I have now just got a functioning exhaust. So I actually don't know if I need to remove any of these bottom ones. So I think that's it for the bottom of the car. Now it's onto the top and see what I can do. So coming up on top of the car, I just removed the starter wire. It has a 13 mil socket, which I think I'm going to put back on so I don't lose that nut and bolt. And then I'm going to need probably let's have a look at 16 going to cut it? No, it's probably an 18, and it is. So I'm going to get a tool in there to undo that bolt. There's one over there in that corner. Shit, I think that's it. So let's get these last 1, 2 and 3 bolts, I think, or maybe just 1 and 2. Alrighty, so I got the two 18 bolts, oops, there and there out. I just did it by hand. And I think that's it. Like, there's one there that holds the starter and the transmission in. 18, that's the top side getting held on. I don't think there's anything else below. There was 4 below, and I'm just going to take the 13 mil. Sorry about the camera. I'm going to get the slave cylinder out and just let it hang about somewhere. Again, when you take it out, don't press the clutch. Learnt that the hard way. The seals or whatever exploded everywhere, and it was just not usable. So, but getting there. This will be my second transmission swap, so that'll be interesting. First time I had Mike out here helping. I think this second time around, I'm gonna try and do it with some jack stands and see how we go. If I get stuck, I'll call some people over, but this, we'll see how I go. I have showed you, so, but yeah, this is the transmission that I will be replacing it with. It will be a direct swap. It's an 02J, and I'm just going to send it in, so should be good. Right, well, let me go and support the engine, see how we go there. Alrighty, so a bit of an update. Yeah, I got the dog bone mount off, and mine looks a little bit different because mine's got spacers for the engine mounts, because I raised the engine up a little bit. Got the bolts off. I'm supporting the engine and transmission using 2 jacks. A little bit dicey here, but we'll see how we go. That's supporting the engine and transmission at the minute. I'm completely doing this by memory, because we did this job on a different Golf GTI, my favorite one, the one that got away, and yeah, it's haunted me ever since. So that's why I've built another one, a little bit better than the previous one, but I still like my original one the best. Put a lot of hard yards in there, learnt a lot of mistakes made. A lot of mistakes definitely were made on that one, so I'll pop that there. Such as, I blew up the slave cylinder, the master cylinder was leaking, so I got that swapped out, and that endeavour took a good few days, only because I didn't know what I was doing, and I released a lot of air into the system, so that took days to bleed. The master system hard wires was a bit of a pain in the backside to actually do as well. So yeah, when you're doing these things, you definitely want to make sure that, there we go, it's going to be out of the way. I think should be good to go there. I'll just pop that over there. Okay, try and hang that somewhere. Last but not least, the engine mounts. So yeah, I think I'm ready to drop this bad boy down, see how we go. It's going to be a series of lifting the engine, clocking the transmission that way, pulling it out, clocking it back, and then you can lower the engine and transmission together. That's going to be a complete fucking pain in the ass, but I'm going to do it because I want this car to be back on the road, and I'm going to try and do it without I'll try and do it myself essentially, so let's see how I go there. Alrighty guys, I finally got the transmission dropped. There's a few things that I did that I probably didn't record, so I'll just mention it now. I had to take the transmission bracket off. There's 1, 2 and 3 bolts that I took off, just buzzed it off. I also had to I took the axle CV shaft, drive shaft out just to maneuver it around. Probably didn't need to do it, but I did it anyway because it really was just, it kept hitting it. What else? So I removed the cup, the transmission side cup, which is, if I can see it, it's not on this side here, it's on the other side. So imagine, oh, no, this is the wrong side as well, but it's on the other side. And I'll use this as an example. All you do is you stick a screwdriver Phillips in here, so it's hitting against the groove, so it doesn't keep spinning. And then you just put a what is it, 8mm Allen in there, and just crack it off. So, and that's on pretty tight. So I actually had to use a breaker bar on it, but it came off, so not to worry. And then the cup sort of slides out. And just be careful of fluid. Fluid started dripping out, so I used just like a bucket to keep it there. And so once the cup is out of the way, not this side but the other side, towards the transmission. Actually, it is this side. Yeah, this is the side here, because this is the transmission bracket. So took that off, and it didn't get caught in the subframe anymore. The other thing that no one seems to be talking about on YouTube is the way you have to jack the engine up. So what you do is you lower the engine to a point where it's like slanting down, and then you can get a screwdriver or something to wedge and really shake the transmission out of the spline. And once it's loose, like that much gap, then you can sort of jack the transmission up again, and then start to sort of get it out, shake it a bit more off, and then it will hit the subframe. Then you got to lower it again, and so you sort of angle it a little bit, wiggle it out again, and then it's at that point it's almost off. It's probably, you can see that much of a gap between the transmission and the block. So finally it's sort of dangling on the last bit there, and as you're jacking up the transmission, you got to jack up the engine again, and then the transmission just drops off, literally just drops off. So you got to be careful with that if you're doing it by yourself. Give yourself clearance, because you know these things are like 30 kilos or whatever it is. It does feel that heavy. The other thing is, I found out why my transmission was making noises, grinding, clunking. I'm sure I've blown something up when I was driving it, because here it is, it's cracked. I don't know what that function does, but clearly the casing's gone. I will not be able to use this transmission again. What I might do is I'll do a tear down of this transmission. I'll unbolt as much as I can, split it in half, and it'll give me practice to actually split a transmission and see what I need to do to put an LSD in it. So yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, can't wait to do that. But that's the end of this transmission, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm gonna now focus on transferring. What am I going to transfer from here? Nothing. I'm going to remove the transmission bracket off, because I think this was the old transmission bracket, and it looks like the engine mount as well, or the transmission mount as well. So that's going. I don't need to use that. Everything else I can reuse. I might transfer my whatever bearing that's called again over because everything was working before it blew up. So and my one's a bit better condition than what this comes in, so I'll use that. But otherwise, this is, yeah, after I strip it, I'm going to take it to the Wreckers, and then, you know, later on down the track, I'm probably going to need a new clutch. After a good number of years, I'll then consider doing a you know, a LSD swap in it. So that'll be a nice little project. But for now, I found out what's wrong. I'm going to put everything together again next weekend. But I just wanted to give everyone an update on what's happening with the transmission. This will be a two-part video or two-part series, one for removing and another for reinstalling. And when I'm reinstalling it, you might see a lot of swear words, but that's just because it is a complete schmozzle getting it back in again. The last time we did it, Mike was underneath the car, the transmission was on his chest. We had to even lower the car a little bit, I think, and then we lifted it up the transmission onto the spline, and we had to try and wiggle it in, and we had to do it a fair few times before it actually got onto there. So absolutely dreading it, but it's got to be done because I want this car back on the road. And yeah, I can't wait to get back into Boosty land. So then after I do that, I can then sleep better at night and move on to the oil cooler. So that'll be the next project. But for now, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next series.